Today we're going to learn how to get this sound instead of boring old Dorian. Nothing wrong with Dorian, but when you're playing this fusion-y style, you really want to learn how to add chromaticism. Chromaticism is added by using approach notes, neighbor tones, enclosures, bebop enclosures, and all that shit. And it starts with being able to target notes and to think ahead. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's take G Dorian on the high E string. Here are the notes. In jazz, we don't play the sounds, we play around the sounds. We embellish the sounds, we decorate them. So the first skill is to add approach notes. Approach notes are just half steps below targets. If I target the notes of G Dorian, I can add the approach note the half step below each one of them. Like, I'm not thinking intervallically. I'm not thinking the seventh to the root, the flat nine to the second. That's true too, but it's not how I'm accessing these sounds. I'm just thinking half step under target. If you target, then you are aiming at something, and then you are encycling that sound either from below or from above. So an approach note is a half step below. Even if the order of the target is moving down, approach notes always resolve up. I'll give you an example. G minor descending, just the arpeggio, with approach notes. So I keep getting these squiggly lines, go da, right? Even though the entire line of targets is descending, the ornaments are ascending. Neighbor tones are the diatonic neighboring harmony. So G Dorian comes from the key of F. In the key of F, that's the 2 minor chord. The 3 minor chord is the neighbor harmony, A minor. That's a great way to locate your diatonic neighbors. The notes from above the targets have to be diatonic for the scale that the music is made from. Now, neighbor tones move down to targets. Approach notes go up, neighbors move down. So if I'm connecting A minor to G minor and the contour is descending, it's gonna sound like a scale, like the Doors. But if it's ascending, it's gonna have this sound. Now combine targets, approaches, and neighbors, and you have simple enclosures. That's a really powerful trick all by itself. Like if I just use enclosures and go down the scale, it sounds like this. That specific contour is better for ascending. For descending, I just flip the contour over and start with the approach, like So that has just a touch of chromaticism because even though the neighbor tones are diatonic, some of the approaches go outside of the tonality a little bit, and that has the sound. Now, the next step from that is to add your bebop enclosures, and that's where shit starts getting interesting. So here's some bebop enclosures. It's just adding a chromatic neighbor after the diatonic neighbor. So here's an example. I'm going neighbor, chromatic neighbor, approach, target. I just added that to G minor, and this is a kind of Dorian sound because there are whole steps above each note. Right? It's a cool sound. Now, I can go up the scale, but to do that, I need to know what to do whenever there are half steps in the scale, where the neighbor is a half step above the target. That happens twice in a major scale, in the key of F, between A and B flat, and also between E and F. What I want to do now is instead of using a double neighbor, I want to use a double approach. So now I have two patterns. Pattern 1, pattern 2. 1, 2. hear those? I want to flip that around to go down. Those Bebop enclosures are super powerful, right? The way I'm hearing them is targeting those targets on the beat. You don't have to put them on the beat, but it's a really good starting point. Just playing an arpeggio and adding one of those turns it into a line. If I'm just playing G minor, that kind of thing, right? Now the next part is to go into longer enclosures. Here's a 5-note enclosure. Double approach, double neighbor. If I'm going... Now here, let's hear that rhythm a few ways. Po-do-dee-dee-doo, 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 into the beat, right? So now I'm gonna go around the notes of G minor. Now, that's really hard to do it on one string. What a lot of players do is they take the approach notes and they move them down a string, meaning start on the B string with the 2 approaches, and then 2 neighbors on the E, and then resolve. Just take that and add that to a descending G minor pentatonic scale. You're going away from this territory into this. Already hit. Now you can extend that even further and make that a 6-note pattern. So now I'm going to go 2 from below, 2 from above, 1 from below, target. So, and you hear Schofield and Matheny and Scott Henderson do that all the time. You get you can do that anytime you have a note that has a neighbor that's a whole step above. So you can do it around the G in G Dorian. It sounds like this. You can't do it around the A because it has a half-step neighbor. It's going to sound really out. But around the B flat, you have this. Around the C. Around the D. Around the F. And back to the G. It's a hip concept. You can really get a lot of mileage out of your plain old Dorian by thinking ahead into the notes and learning how to use these ornaments. If you dig this content, please leave a comment below for a chance to win a free month on our Patreon, which is the best Patreon in the fucking universe. Also, don't forget to just sign up, hit the subscribe button, buy merch, and we'll see you next time.